Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm with Porthole Magazine.
Yeah.
I feel so honored to be able to spend some time with the first officer, the guy really in charge of getting us safely across the ocean. He works with the captain, he gives him the information, but you're the one who figures it out.
That's correct, yes.
How long have you been doing this?
I started with Whole America in 2010 as a cadet. Then you go back to college for a year, and then you do another 6 months, so 2 times 6 months. So I graduated in end of 2012, and then my first assignment was in 2013 on the Rotterdam as fourth officer. The ship no longer sails with Whole
No longer
America.
sails, but
Yeah.
so you've kind of worked your way to your position at this point.
Yeah, over the years you have to do some extra trainings and extra courses and get your next licenses.
Are your licenses through MCA or through U.S. Coast Guard or?
No, I'm licensed by the Dutch government.
The Dutch government.
And you start off with your Officer of the Watch license, and you go up to Chief Mate, and then eventually your Master's license. Master's Unlimited. That takes a few years because you need to build up your
sea
time, yeah. And then once you pass the
I have my 100-hour masters.
Oh, nice.
100-ton masters.
Good. Yeah.
But don't have, you got to drive a ship like this to get a ton limited.
Yeah, you need to get up. Yeah, for sure.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you've gotten all the experience. You have the book smarts. What did the school not prepare you for that you ran into? You noticed?
Well, I mean, with school, obviously they prepare you for the basics.
Right. You learn nav rules. You learn you learn the important things, but then you come out to the real world, and there's always something nobody ever told you.
It's always different, yeah. And it's also like in college, they prepare you, like I said, with the basics, but it's also very cargo ship based because most of the merchant mariners, they go to cargo.
They're not going to Whitehulls.
Exactly. So when you go to cruise ships, it's always a bit different. Like the equipment is a bit different. And
you knew you were going to cruise ships.
I knew I was going to cruise ships. Yeah, I did some holiday work on cargo ships before, like a cargo ferry and a small freighter that was operating in the Baltic. So I got to see it in the beginning, and I did enjoy it. It's a completely different lifestyle. It's a completely different ship. But then for my first official cadetship, I decided to go to Whole America because that's where my passion was.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, and then cruise ships are a bit different, of course. Like the way they operate, the way they sail, the itineraries, it's always completely different. You do a port almost every day. Where on a cargo ship, you could be at sea for 2 weeks. Lifestyle on board, of course, is completely different. The cargo ship I was on, there was I think 12 guys in total operating the ship, and here only the deck officers is already 12, and then you've got hotel department, engineering department.
Thousands.
All the guests, so yeah, it's completely different. Yeah.
But the ultimate thing, it's always strange, the bridge, which is this large area.
Yeah.
Now that we don't have charts, we don't do a lot of things.
Yeah.
We've become very computer dependent.
That is true, and that when I was in college, it was still all paper charts based. The ACDIS was coming in, the electronic chart, and you get some courses about it. But the main navigational method was still paper charts.
Right. You were still doing TV, MDC, 60D Street.
I mean, every week you literally print off your chart corrections on the see-through paper, and you have to draw in manually like all the things that changed. So paper charts were the main. ACDIS was already there as a backup, so slowly it got fed in. And then over the years, when the rules changed, maritime law changed.
Do you think that was a good decision?
I think it is a good decision because you've got a lot more potential, a lot more opportunities with the ACDIS because those systems are also progressing, of course. Those chart corrections, it saves you a lot of time because now you can just download your updates, you feed them into the system, and it updates the charts automatically. Where in the old days you had to take your stack of paper charts, print it all off, and it would take you hours to put everything in manually. And of course, you can make a mistake. Pencil runs out. Like there's so many little things. I did like it though. I did like the paper charts. It's a bit more traditional, but also in some ways it's easier to work because when you have a paper chart, it's just there. You can see everything on it. And with the ACDIS, you have to set it up properly. Otherwise, it can give you incorrect readings, incorrect depths, etc. So there was a big transition to go from paper chart to fully electronic charts. And those computer systems are not always the easiest to operate, so of course you need to get the course, you need to get your trainings in. And if something goes wrong, if the download is incorrect, yeah, then you almost need to be trained as an IT officer to get that fixed.
How to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, you know, on massive ocean voyages,
Yeah.
not much has changed since Magellan. I mean, you know,
everything has changed.
Well, but the island's still there if you head in that
Island's still
general
there.
direction.
Yeah, that's true.
The depths, I guess, you're constantly recording
The
yourself.
only thing I would, with artificial intelligence, I'm not sure if they would
Like you
fully
could say,
be integrated into
no,
a bridge system, because
we're going to cross the Atlantic, we're going to have this weather, we're going to use the 4 types of fuel. How much do we need?
there is already like a lot of systems in place that make calculations, and then we double check that.
Okay.
But it's still, they just give us data. That's
Okay.
all it is. They won't really give us input on you need to do this and this and this. They can come up with suggestions, like maybe if you get this weather system coming in, for the first 2 days you might speed up and get ahead of it, and then you slow down and continue on 2 engines instead of 3. Something like that. But for the watchkeepers, we still deal with traffic manually.
Okay.
Like, it's not like we type in the port that we need to go to, a route is made automatically.
Right. Somebody else doesn't pay attention
No.
and cuts you off.
So we still do all of that manually. We make our own routes, and when we are watchkeeping, there is a setting in the system where we can just let the ship completely follow the track line that we make without any interference. But to be honest, we never do use it, because we're still here as a watchkeeper. Because those settings, all they focus on is keeping the ship on a dotted line that we made. It doesn't interfere with any of the traffic. It doesn't slowly speed you up. So we do all of that manually. And coming into port and leaving port, we also do everything manually. We go to hand steering, and then once we're closer to the dock, we set the system up differently, so we can turn around and go stern, or etc. We call it azimut. So the azipods that we have,
Right.
we can rotate 360 degrees, but that only happens in port when we're maneuvering.
How long does it take them to make a revolution?
It could be done in 30 seconds if you,
Oh, it's
put
that
some- if you
fast?
put some power on. Yeah.
Oh, it's that
Yeah,
fast.
it's really-
I
it's
thought it
really
was,
quick.
you know, a minute or so. to
No,
make
no.
a
Like
turn.
if you especially if you get some momentum going, you make a turn, and you set the azipods in a certain direction with certain RPMs, she will turn very, very quickly.
The props, are they feathering props? Do you adjust the pitch? Or
No, on the older ships with fixed
straight shafts?
shafts, yeah, conventional, they were controllable pitch. These propellers are fixed.
Are fixed?
Yeah, they're always in the same position. And on the older ships, you would of course change the angle, and that's what
The speed.
make the ship go astern. On here, because the pods rotate 360 degrees, the propellers are usually always in a forward motion. But then we just turn the pod around.
The propeller sits in front of the shaft.
It's in the front of the shaft. Yeah, it's pulling us. The azipods are pulling us, where the conventional ships were pushing us. Yeah. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you feel a little vibration in the back.
Yeah.
And is that a realignment or?
No, it's mainly just interference from waves.
So
and
some
currents.
cavitation and some.
Yeah, like, of course, when the ship is rolling or pitching, one azipod gets deeper in the water, more pressure gets on the blades. That's why it shakes a little bit. Because if it's smooth sailing, there's pretty much no vibration whatsoever, even at full speed. But it's just interference from the weather, basically.
Well, we all love smooth weather and beautiful
Yeah, we do.
things. When it's not ideal,
Mm-hmm.
how does things change for you?
Right.
Now we have beautiful visibility. We can see, I don't know,
Yeah.
50 miles. I don't know, what can we see, 30 miles?
Um,
Well, we're about 150
20,
feet in the air.
25, yeah.
So we're about 30 miles at 150 feet in the air.
Maximum 30 miles, yeah.
I got to remember the curvature of the Earth
And then,
formula.
Yeah, exactly. You won't be able to see further than that,
No.
even if it's good. Yeah, with bad weather, I mean, we've obviously got certain procedures in place during good weather and during bad weather. Of course, safety of the ship is always paramount. Of course, when it's good weather, people can walk around easily. All the decks are open. All the deck chairs are out. There's a lot of movable furniture that can just stay in position, no problem. And also in the storerooms. When we see that the weather is going to pick up, of course, in advance, we send it out through the entire ship, that every department head, every supervisor needs to check their areas and make sure everything is properly secured. Because you can't operate the ship with everything all the time being 100% secured.
Right.
It's like
So
living in your
protocols
house.
when
There's,
you give
there's
them.
certain protocols, yeah.
Do you practice for bad weather? I know you practice for rescues, SOLAS, and all their requirements.
Yeah, we practice for emergency situations, and there's many different ones. Of course, we have our weekly drills, but on top of that, we have we call it touch drills. So during the watches, we just practice with the team real quick. If something happens like that, then we can just practice what we need to do. And of course, everything is done by checklist these days, but there are still parts in the checklist that we are trained for in such a way that, let's say, the first half of the checklist you need to know by heart, and you just verify with the checklist if you've done everything.
Right.
And then all the additional steps we just follow up on.
How often do they check the checklists and update them?
Oh, there's monthly updates.
They are monthly.
Yeah. And it's not every month that something changes, but you do get a monthly.
Somebody reads it every month to make sure it's
exactly.
ideal.
And then we can always come up with suggestions as well, like this part of the checklist doesn't work properly for us. Can we adjust it? And then,
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of monitoring on that.
What do you look forward to in the next couple of years?
Well, I want to go through the ranks, obviously. The goals.
Where do you go? Where do you go from first officer?
Safety officer. That's a relatively small step, and then staff captain and captain. Yeah.
And it's kind of hard unless they get new boats or, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
to move up, I would think.
Let's say before COVID, we were building ships, and there was a proper rotation, so it was going a little bit quicker. Four of the older ships got sold during COVID, and
now the way you're full and the way you're selling cruises, they're going to start rebuilding them again.
It's going to take a few years, of course, to get back up to speed, because it was just 3 years of no income.
Nothing.
It was pretty difficult. At the moment, there's no new builds planned for Holland America, but they will come, of course, in a few years. But it's a little bit waiting on that, because now we got all the ships in place with a certain amount of crew members, and you're a little bit stuck at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, people will retire. Some people will resign and find different jobs, because there's just always a bit of a rotation. But yeah, some years go quicker than others, and now it's a little bit of a
slower
holding back, a little bit of slower time, but it will pick up.
Under the umbrella of Carnival.
Yeah.
Is your ability to move to Princess or to move to something else more available?
In the first years, it wasn't. If you had a Dutch contract, you were at Holland America, you would just stay in Holland America. But they also saw the need that during COVID, we needed to have the flexibility of moving people around because of so many flight restrictions.
Right.
So, and because of that situation during COVID, they started looking into changing over people between different brands. Of course, if you want it, it's not like they'll send you straight away to.
No.
Anywhere.
But I would imagine the cross-train, I mean, a bridge should be a bridge. I mean, there's always little differences on every boat.
We've got our training center in Holland. Every officer in the Carnival Corporation, they need to go there at least once a year. And there we just practice our BRM, Bridge Resource Management Procedures. So just basically all the procedures that we have in place, how to communicate with the engine room, how to communicate with each other. And they are exactly the same 100% across all the brands.
Wonderful.
So you can have a completely different ship and a completely different itinerary or product or etc. But the way the bridge team operates, the engine room team operates is 100% the same on all the brands. So you might need to learn the project you're selling, the ship you're on, but the procedures among each other. I could go to any of the other brands, Carnival, Costa, Cunard, and it will be 100% the same.
That's great to see that there's some consistency and everyone does the same.
Yeah.
You run an incredible good ship, and
it is a nice ship.
You did a beautiful job missing bad weather, so.
It was a little bit rough this day,
a couple thousand people are appreciative.
It could have been a lot worse, right?
Look outside the window now.
It's nice now.
It doesn't get much better.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and sharing with everyone. And well, hopefully you'll be a big star one day.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Excited. I would say I knew him.
I hope so. Yeah, that's the goal.
Thank you, everyone.
No problem.